Maayong hapon sa tanan. I am Agripina, your host. Maayong hapon sa tanan. I am Agripina, your host in our presentation of books this afternoon in our celebration of the National Book Week. So we are continuing our celebration of the National Book Week, and we thank everyone who came on site to our booth yesterday at the Cebu Literary Festival. So daghang salamat to everyone and also to those who got the books by national artists for literature, Dr. Rizal Mujares, those books signed, those precious books signed by Dr. Rizal Mujares. Daghang salamat for joining us yesterday and for giving your questions to Dr. Rizal Mujares. So right now, we would like to present to you once again our books as a way of celebrating the National Book Week. So you also saw these books yesterday at our booth at the Cebu Literary Festival. So we hope that you are going to also look at these books and maybe you would also want to avail of the books, especially the books signed by Dr. Rizal Mujares, like this book. Um, like this book. So, uh, so to start with our presentation of these books that we have at Palm Grass Cebu Heritage Hotel Basahanan or bookshop, you would like to show you this video, a behind the scenes video of the book we published, um, si Leon Kilatog ang Sigbin nga gisugilon sa mga Sugbuanong bata.
History teaches us courage and selfless acts of heroes like that of Jose Rizal or General Gregorio del Pilar. The stories about their fight against superior foreign enemies come across as a rallying cry for people to identify a common nation and love of country. But there are stories too in the regions and localities that should be part of the whole history of the Philippines. In recent years, a surge in research and writing of local histories reintroduced us to local heroes like Leon Kilat, General Arcadio Maxilom, and others. To many local people, though, they're just names of streets.
Kaila ba kang Leon Kilat na
Wala. Kidya?
Leon Kilat.
Okay la.
Ang gitawag niyo din Sanigod Leon Kilat. Pero ako kitag tao, kakinsa ng tao nga Leon Kilat.
Palm Grass, the Cebu Heritage Hotel, wants to connect the locals with their past. We produced music videos, published books in local history, and put the names of local heroes literally on the dining table. In 2018, we assembled a group of kids and tasked them to write a book about Leon Kilat for children.
I first heard about Leon Kilat when I was looking for something to read at my house.
My Araling Palipunan teacher was lecturing about the famous people in Cebu, and Leon Kilat was one of our topics.
I mostly knew Leon Kilat by name. History-wise, I didn't know much about Leon Kilat.
Leon Kilat or Pantaleon Villegas was a Katipunan general who led the Cebuanos' fight against Spain in what we now know as the 1898 Battle of Tres de Abril. In the book that we published, history writer Emil Hostinbasti wrote that the battle was the crucial spark that turned the tide against the forces of Spain in Cebu.
It was a big victory for the locals because for the first time in history, hindag na magat sila.
Like many, Santi Sagaino did not know the story about Leon Kilat or other local historical figures for that matter.
Sa nagsibaran ko, parang dito masyadong tinuturo ng mga guro kasi sa textbook kasi nila, para bang dito nakafocus.
Local history was not taught as a core subject in schools. even before the Philippines implemented the K-12 basic education curriculum in 2016.
Right now, murag na may mga attempts no, to focus on local history no nanay although medyo lacking siya gamay, so this book can fill in that gap no.
With the help of our friends established in the fields of heritage advocacy, design, art direction, and storytelling, we mentor the kids to help them create a children's story based on the heroism of Leon Kila.
He cared not only for himself, but because he cared for people in the country, and he loved the country so much, and then he was not scared to fight for the country.
This is a unique case no of children being told history and then them retelling it no.
Mas ligon ang foundation sa bata kung siya mismo involved siya sa pagpanday sa narrative sa storya.
When I asked the students what is the most interesting, like magical feature of the story of Leon Kilat, and they pointed out the Sigbin, how Leon Kilat has a Sigbin who helped him.
I wanted to add a touch of the supernatural in the story so that little kids would also hear about it.
This particular genre called speculative fiction that includes fantasy, maybe some elements of horror and sci-fi. They really like this kind of genre in the works that they read.
The humans are happy fishing when the aliens, the Spaniards, come to get them.
The artist has to think like a child, but in this case unique ni siya kay it's the children themselves doing that. Of course sa nga nga level ang children think to murag wild kaya ng imagination ba no. And so that shows sa ilang version sa Leon Kilat story no? So it's a bit wild na sci-fi elements no.
So we were thinking of like sci-fi themes, like Iron Man, Avengers, since that's Avengers inspired one of the writers.
I learned a lot from this experience, mostly about history and my art direction. I have so many people around me to help with this project, and I'm happy to help bring this project to life.
Other kids should read the story because it's very important for us, especially as Cebuanos, to know about our past and how we got our freedom that we now have today.
Whatever effort there is to make students read, entice them with a new kind of story, sci-fi infused story based on a historical figure, can actually make them start reading it. And maybe like, when they start reading this, like what else is there that we can read, and so the demand will start there, and hopefully writers will catch up with the demand.
Daghang salamat for that video. So it's the behind the scenes story of how the children of Cebu, like 4 children, created the story of si Leon Kilat ug ang sigbin nga gisugilan sa mga Sugbuanong bata. So in 2018, we had this workshop. We had this workshop with students, with pupils from the elementary schools in private and public schools in Cebu. And from among the about 20 students in Cebu, 20 pupils, they were from grades 1 to grade 6. So so after that first workshop, we chose about 4 pupils in the grade school. So those were Juliana Kapampangan of the University of San Carlos South Campus, and Santi Sagaino from Gaas National School, Isabella Faith Bautista from Ateneo de Cebu, and Francis Luke Vicoy from the Colegio del Santo Niño. So these are the kids that created the stories, Leon Kilat the Bangsigbin, after they learned the real story of the 1898 revolution against Spain. So this book has also a part that tells the real story, the road to freedom. So these are about 12 points of what really happened in history. And from these facts, the children created a magical story about Leon Kilat. So we would see their creativity, and we also thank the illustrator of this book, the very creative, very talented uh, illustrator. Also, she was 16 years old when she she created the illustrations, the beautiful illustrations of this book. Christine Ann Sabaan. She was also from Ateneo de Cebu. So, this is the book, Si Leon Kilat ug ang Sigbin nga gisugilon sa Sugbuan ng Bata. This is available at Palm Grass, the Cebu Heritage Hotel Sinugatan. And also, this book has these books as references. So, as you have seen in the video, si Leon Kilat, The Untold Story of the 1898 Cebu Revolution by Emil Hostimbaste is one of the references. And this is just 460 pesos. And also the book by Junicio C. This is also published by Palm Grass Cebu Heritage Hotel. So this is a history of Cebu from 1500 to 1890s and the anti-Spanish Revolution in Cebu. And this is also one of the references of this book by the children, si Leon Kilat ug ang Sigbin nga gisugilon sa mga Sugbuanong bata. So, daghang salamat to our viewers online. So, please write the hashtag National Book Week, hashtag National Book Week, hashtag Basa na Bay. So we would also be having a trivia quiz to those who would be buying books, or even if you don't buy books. Do we have a trivia quiz for those who don't buy books? For only those for who will buy books. So if you don't buy a book, it's still okay. We will give the trivia quiz, but and then you will answer, but no prize. So our prize would be, o sa ganit ato prize? Tablia truffle balls if you buy a book and answer the trivia question. So daghang salamat to everyone. So we thank you for going to our booth yesterday. So we would like you to know also that we would be having events also at the end of this month. So stay tuned for Palm Grass, the Cebu Heritage Hotel's presentation during the Cebu City First Heritage Summit that would happen on December 1 and 2. So in the afternoon of December 1, Palm Grass to Cebu Heritage Hotel would be presenting a discussion or an interactive presentation regarding the Palm Grass, the Cebu Heritage Hotel experience during the Cebu City first Heritage Summit that would happen on December 1 and 2 this year. And also in the afternoon, so Palm Grass would be presenting at 2 p.m., at 2:30 in the afternoon, and at 3 p.m., our national artist for literature would be presenting also his talk about the Dakbayan in that event. So stay tuned for that event that we would also try to bring to you live only the talk of Palm Grass and also the presentation by our national artist for literature, Dr. Rizel Mojares. So, so right now we would like to show you other books that we have here. So we have also Maria Cacao sa siglo XXI. So Maria Cacao sa siglo XXI is illustrated by Joshua Cabrera, and also he has the story is by this is a retelling by Heidi Palapar, and this is a coloring storybook, and this is just 490 pesos. So this has a different kind of depiction of Maria Cacao. So before we would see Maria Cacao depicted like a Greek goddess, but here she is really a Cebuana. You would see her with with hablon, wearing a hablon sa argao, and also wearing a sarok, right? Like the wife of Humabon was later baptized as Juana, was wearing a sarok during her baptism in 1521. So, so this is Maria Cacao sa siglo XXI, and also the book by Dionisio C. So, so right now, so do we have a viewer? So, so right now we would like to show you this book, the books by an award-winning poet, Adonis Dorado. So, some of these books uh, are here. So there is one book that is not here because it was sold out yesterday, Pahinungod sa Di Hingtungdan. But even if it's sold out, we can still get easily we could restock and we could have a fresh supply of the book that was sold out yesterday, Pahinungod sa Di Hingtungdan by award-winning poet Adonis Dorado. So we also have his books here. So we have his first book. The first book that he published, Dili Tanang Matagak Mahagbong, Not All That Drops Falls. So I would like to read to you one of the poems in this book about, so this is a poem, one of the poems here in the book, Dili Tanang Matagak Mahagbong. So this is entitled Ang Babaeng Walay Bilbil. So this is translated by Merly Alunan, another award-winning poet. So this is a very, very fun poem. And also, a touching poem. So, ang babaeng way bilbil, ang babaeng way bilbil, kay murag baybay nga way kimba. Murag sigay nga way buko-buko, tabugok nga way ata. Sa bilbil mahibawan, nganong bawron ang kadagatan, nganong gansang-gansangon ang mga bato sa hunasan. Ang babaeng way bilbil kay murag kawayang way buko, murag dapaw nga way katul. Langob nga way tango. May misteryo ang bilbil, nga susama sa misteryo sa lasang, engkanto sa pusod sa busay, mino sa puson sa pangpang. Ang babaeng way bilbil kay murag daan nga way kurbada, murag bungtod nga way subida, simbahan nga way kampana. Ang babaeng bilbilon, murag sugilanon, puno sa pasumbingay. Sa kaawas-awas nga bilbil, may kaunlanan akong paoraray. Ay, kinahanglan na yun ta bilbilon, ani. Na-inspire na mo nga kinahanglan na anang gid mo'y bilbil sa mga babae diha. Unsa ikasulti ninyo diha? Unsa ikasulti nimo adto nga poem? Atong pangutanon ning mga guys dinhi kung for them tinuod ba ang gisulti? If it's true, if Adonis Dorado's poem about babaeng walbilbil is true, would you agree? Mo agree gid mo. So mo agree gid sila sa mangita. So we would like to translate that poem, ang babaeng way bilbil. So this is the translation into English. No fat woman. A no fat woman is like a bay without coves, like a cory without its back, squid without ink. Fat reveals why an ocean must have waves, why the stones on the beach have rough surfaces. No fat woman is a bamboo pole without nodes, like hair on plants that won't itch, caves without teeth. Fat invokes the mysteries of the wasteland, magic in the navel of a waterfall, the will of the whips on the hip of a chasm. No fat woman is like a road without bends, a hill that doesn't rise, a church without bells. A fat woman is like a story full of allegories. In her prodigious fat are pillows for your ease. Samo na siya, sa gaawas-awas nga bilbil, may kaunlanan ang akong pauraray. Oh, si Arjun dire agrees because do you agree? Naay bilbil imong love? Naagyod. Kung walay bilbil, wala gyud lami. Mas lami gyud ang naay bilbil gyud. Ingon si Koan, Kobe sa diri, mas lami ko no ang bilbilon. Bantay bantay. Tanaw na ako imong kuan ha, imong asa to. Na masuko din sila kay tawgon ninyo bilbilon. so so this is the book by Adonis Dorado. Naa diri ang poem sad nga. The poem and also a poem called by some people as the most beautiful Cebuano poem of all time. Balaki kuday samtang nagsakay balaki kuday samtang gasakay taghabal-habal. Recite to me a poem, babe, while we're on this fucking ride. So that poem is also here. So sa dili tanang matagak mahagbong, and this is just 400 pesos. And if you buy 3 books, you will get 10% discount. So daghang salamat to everyone to those who bought 3 books yesterday and who got 10% off in our booth yesterday at the Cebu Literary Festival. So here is another book of poems, a poetry collection by the award-winning poet Adonis Dorado, and this is Lisay Sabugan, A Swelling in the Loins, and this is translated by poet Heidi Palapar, the one who also retold the story of Maria Cacao. Heidi Palapar is also the translator of this book by Adonis Dorado, Lisay Sabugan, A Swelling in the Loins. So I would like to read to you one of the poems. I would choose a very short poem in this book. In this book by Adonis Dorado. So this is not a short poem, but just a few seconds poem. So this poem is Panggaon unta ko nimo sama sa usa ka hilanat. May you also love me like a fever. Nakasulay na mo nga gipangga nga mo nga murag hilanat. So what does it mean kung ang hilanat panggaon? Magbalik-balik ang hilanat. So the hilanat wouldn't go away if you love the hilanat. If you love the fever, if you would sana ayaw panggaa ang hilanat. So don't mind the fever so that it would go away. If you ignore it, it would go away. So kung ignore, muhawa na siya. But ang fever, the fever that is not ignored would stay. So the poem says, panggaon unta ko nimo sama sa usa ka hilanat. So kung panggaon ng hilanat, dili mo lakaw ang hilanat, it would stay. Mao na siya. So the poem is this. Panggaon unta ko nimo sama sa usa ka hilanat by Adonis Dorado. Panggaon pud unta ko nimo nga sama sa usa ka hilanat. Hilanat nga way kunhod ang kainit, kainit nga gikaluhaag takig, takig nga di buot magpabukot, daw suol sa lawm nga pangabubho, pangabubho nga di pahaplas kay di na musalig sa pasalig. Pasalig nga maukal ras usa ka ubo, ubo sa usa ka tandugunon, dali rang malisa sa kundat sa kalag. Kalag nga lisay sa imong bugan, apan lisay ning akong dughan. dughan in town kining dughan kung baskog kanunay sa imong sapot tiaw pagbuot kay lagi. Ako man ang imong abtanan. Imong usa ka panapton nga habol, imong usa ka kutsaritang tambal. So, unsa man? Did you experience being a tambal? Wala. Tambal sa hilanat. Kung tambalan ni mong hilanat, mulakaw na ang hilanat. Di mulakaw kay siya man ang tambal, ikaw man ang tambal. Ha? So, the English translation of may you panggaon nun ta ako nimo sama sa usa ka hilanat. May you love me like a fever. Sa a fever. May you also love me like a fever, fever whose heat would not subside, heat born with chills, chills that disdain covers, soars from a deep jealousy, jealousy that cannot be appeased, having been assured too many times, assurances expelled in one cough of one so delicate, may be sprained by a tickle to the soul. Soul that's a swelling in your loin, but a swelling in my chest. Chest, this chest of mine, ever breathing your moods, antics will. For I am your refuge, your one piece of blanket, your single teaspoon of medicine. So this is Lisay Sabugan. So this book is from that poem Panggaon unta ako nimo sama sa usa ka hilanat. So one line of that poem mentions Lisay Sabugan. So this is just 400 pesos, and if you buy 3 books you get 10% discount. So here's another book by Adonis. So this was launched last year in August 2021. Ang nakayatak kay nayatakan. Ang nakayatak kay nayatakan. Ang nakakatay kay nakatayan. Kay nakakatay ang nayatakan. Ang nayatakan kay nakayatan. Natayat. Na nakatayan. so we have a tongue. This is a tongue twister. So they are now laughing here because I missed how this should be read. So, who steps upon is stepped upon by Adonis Dorado. So, this is just 460 pesos. And if you buy 3 books, you would get 10% discount. So, I would like to read one excerpt from this book. Sige, kamo ko no be. I think you joined, di ba si Kobe joined the tongue twister contest last year and he mispronounced some words. So this is a visual, there are visual poems here. So like there are also images with the poem. So the one poem is this. Balakirong dako. Sakyanang di mo andar kundi lawgan. Kabayo nga di mo dagan kundi sakyan. O kung si Mrs. na gani ang mukabayo, kalimti ang bahal, muhigop kog tuno. Lagi lamian lagi si Arjun. Ingon siya, after I read it, muhigop kog tuno. Arjun said, so this is the image. This is a kabayo, kudkuran. This is a kudkuran. A traditional coconut shredder, a wood made of wood. It's like a horse, so it's kabayo. So the English translation of that is that a ride that when unfed won't run, a horse that won't move unless mounted on. And should the wife straddle it, forget the wine, will sip coconut milk. Lawa ko kasabot adto. Pero nalipay si Kuan. I didn't understand, but then Arjun and Kobe understood, especially with the line, o kung si Mrs. na gani ang mukabayo, kalimti ang bahal, muhigop kog tuno. Tuno, 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 muhigop kog tuno. I will sip coconut milk. Is this funny? Funny not for you? Funny kaayo? Funny ko no? So I would read one more poem from this from this from this. I don't know if I can give justice to this to this poem. Another visual poem that we made a video of this last year. I don't know if I can read this properly. Makaya nila ako. I guess this should be a duet. There should be another one who would read that because this is a conversation between a man and a woman. Motokoy ispirikitik agoy koy. Ala di ko kay baw ani. Pardon if I can't read this properly. So this is di na ako ni kaya. I can't do this. So this is the Cebuano version by Adonis Torado, a visual poetry. Di na ko ni mada, ana ako, ana ako, dinhi, sige ha, karon, kanunaya, mismo, ay, di ko kay ani. I will read another poem. So this is, the English translation is said the actress to the bishop, get down. Get down. So I can't finish it. di mada. DMD, di mada. So this is another poem here. Usa na lang. Um, so this is Pasaylua. So I haven't read this yet. So Pasaylua. Pasaylua ko pag-usab. Pasaylua ko sa pag-usab-usab sa hunahuna. Nga kun unsay gituuhan ko kaniadto kay lagmit din mao karon. Pasayloang nanumpa nga din-a magmaoy apan niya karon mitumar og tambal makahubog aron lagsikon ang gamika nga espiritu. Lagi ning saad na baya nga di na mamakak apan bag-uhay pa lang gidayeg ko bag-o mong alot bisan tuod di ka angayan. Taon pasaylua kaligdong ning pagduha-duha kining pagpaling-paling pag-atras abante kanang magpatuyang laglansis mungisi kintahay apan wa di ay nahimuot. Mukuyog nimo bahalag disgusto sa buot. Muyango-yango aron mulihay og lalis. Disenting magpaugat apan di ay pakunuhay. So apology. Forgive me for constantly changing my mind. That's what I used to believe before may no longer be true today. Pardon me for promising I won't make a scene when drunk. But here I am now, taking an intoxicating medicine to stimulate this sluggish spirit. Sure, I vowed before that I wouldn't lie anymore, but I complimented you on your new haircut just a while ago, which doesn't really suit you. Have mercy on this honest doubting, this fickleness, this faltering, for indulging in guile, smiling even if I'm not really pleased, going with you even if I'm averse to it, nodding just to avoid an argument, seemingly straining for just all make believe. So sad. This is a point that is so sad. It's just like a love that has gone. So sad. It's an apology for always pretending and complimenting even if it's not true. Very sad. So this is from the book, Ang Nakayatak kay Nayatakan. Ang nakakatay kay nakatayan. Ang nakakatay, ang nayatakan. Ang nakayatak kay nayatakan. Who steps upon is stepped upon. Perfect, perfect ko no pagkabasa, wala na masipyat. So, so this is just 460 pesos. And the last book that I have here by award-winning poet Adonis Dorado, Shorts, Minugmo. This is his second poetry collection, launched after Dili Tanang Matagak Mahagbong. So, Shorts by Adonis Dorado. Shorts, binugbo alang sa mga mugbo o kalipay. Shorts for the short joyed. Shorts for the short joyed. So I would like to read to you one poem here. So, so there is also an English translation of this book. So this is translated by another poet, Anthony Quintanar, and translated into English. So there, I'd like to read to you one poem. So this is, so depende ra ni ko unsay maablihan. So 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 this is a poem that says love song. So there are love songs here, 1, 2, 3. So 1, 2, 3. We would read the love songs 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here. So love song number 1. Ako'y tubag, ika'y pangutana. I'll answer, you'll ask. Love song 2. Yeah. And there is another, across this love song number 1 is another poem that says, Tinabanog. Itaban tika sa itaban tika sa panganod. Itugpo ang kibol mong kasing-kasing kay sakdapan ko sa akong pagpangga. Ang abil mong gadala og hagong, lamburan ko sa haguros sa kahingawa. Kung mabugto man ang tugot sa atong mga saad, gukdon ko ikaw, bisan asa sa hangin ipadpad. Kiting, so tinabanog, it's like flying a kite. Let's elope to the clouds. Launch your short-tailed heart, and I will swoop upon it with my love. Your buzzing lips I shall entangle with the breeze of longing. And if the line joining our promises breaks, I shall chase the wind wherever it takes you. So love song yun ni. And I would remember that old poem in pre-colonial times, a poem telling about how this dato courted a girl, a princess in Bohol. So that's another story. It's just like he would go, the man with the dato would go as far as the heavens to win the love of this girl. So I remember it because of this poem. So there is love song number 2. Love song number 2. Mulingiw ka, mulingiw pud ko. Duha ra ni ka lines. So these are just 2 lines. You turn away, so do I. And there is a poem across it, kanimo. Kung muna-huna kog buwak, makakita kog buwak. Kung muna-huna kog dagat, makakita kog dagat. Ug kung muna-huna ko nimo, makakita ko nimo. Nga ingon katulukibon sa buwak, ug ingon katulog karon sa dagat. Of you. When I think of a flower, I see the flower. When I think of the sea, I see the sea. And when I think of you, I see you. As mysterious as the flower, as endless as the sea. Sama na siya. It's the love song number 2. Napani, upat pa rin ka love song. Tagduha ka lines lang. Love song number 3. Duol kaayo ka. Duol kaayo ko. Kaduol ba sa akong pangagho? You're so near. So am I. How close is my sigh? Ano nangagho man ka? Sa mo ni ang ang love song number 3 has this poem also. Ang Gilayon sa Gidulon by Adonis Dorado. This is now love song number 3. Sa kapaspas sa dagan sa tren, daw napapas ang talanawon sa gawas. Gahinuktok ang babay sa akong tapad, akong tupad. Layo kaayog pananaw, duol kaayo ang akong pananaw nga galantaw sa bildong bintana diin mi banda ang hulagway sa huot niyang dughan. The distance of proximity. The train speed seems to erase the outside scenery. The woman beside me sulks, her gaze distant, my sight so near, staring at the glass window, reflecting the image of her tightening chest. Unsay image sa tightening chest? Naghuot ko no yung dughan. The chest is tightening. Samo din na, you're so near. Duol kaayo ka, duol kaayo ko. Kaduol ba sa akong pangagho? So, the second from the last love song. Maayong hapon to Ferdinand Aparticio and to Ferdinand Ascaraga, to the Ferdinands, also to Ferdinand Magellan. Are you all named after Ferdinand Magellan, the colonizer? So you are the Ferdinands of a new type. So love song number 4. Tag 2 lines sir ni ang poem within English translation. Love song number 4. Kung di ka mulihok, di ko mamilok. If you won't move, well, I won't blink. And there's a poem across it. Nganong maglisod ko kanunay tubag sa pangutanang nganong pinangga tika. Nganong maglisod ko kanunay tubag sa pangutana nganong pinangga tika. Kamo maglisod mo tubag nganong pinangga mo. Gipangutana na mo, why do you love me? Gipangutana na mo, ana? Unsa may tubag mo? Si ikaw, Arjan, what's your answer? So, ang akong ka-storya dire, I'm conversing with the technical team. Okay, we have no audience on site. So, we have the technical team as our audience. So, what was your, ikaw, Arman, what was your answer when you, nganong pinangga man ko nimo? Why do you love me? What's your, unsay answer nimo, Arman? Why do you love me? Nganong pinangga man ko nimo? Ikaw, Kobe, unsay answer nimo? Ha? Kay? Tungod kay unsa siya. So si Kobe says, love na ko siya tungod kay kung unsa siya. Murag textbook answer mi na ba? Murag nakabasa na ko ana ba? I love you because of what you are. What you are. Kobe says, I love you because of what you are. Moo. So, we will ask Adonis kung unsa sad si Adonis nganong maglisod ko kanunay tubag sa pangutana nganong pinangga ika. Tungod ingon kini katulukibon sa pangutanang nganong mutuktugaok ang mga sunoy ini kakadlawon ug kung nganong mutik-op ang mga dahon sa ipil-ipil ini kipi sa kilom-kilom. Why I always find it difficult to answer the question of why I love you? Because it is as ponderous as the question of why the roosters crow at dawn and why the leaves of the mimosa close in the fold of dusk. So nganong mangutana pa man ka? Nganong mangutana man ka? Why would you ask why I love you? Because it is as natural as the rooster crowing at dawn. It is as natural as the sun rising, no? In the morning. Also na at sunrise. And the sun. So mao na siya. So you don't ask. Dili na ka mangutana. So mao day na. So sa to Kobe? Sa to mo answer? Ang answer ni Kobe when he is asked, nganong maglisod ko kanunay tubag? Ay di maglisod siya tubag. Si Kobe di man maglisod. It's so easy for Kobe to answer. Practice na the ko niya for me. He's always rehearsing the answer. Rehearse na daan. I love you because of what you are. But according to Adonis, he finds it difficult, he finds it hard to answer the question of why I love you because, mao na to. So you read the poem. So this is the last love song in this Minugbo. Minugbo lang yun kay because the poems have only 2 lines. So love song number 5. Love song number 5. Mata mo balak. Mata mo balak. So mo na siya pagkasulat. Mata mo balak or mata mo balak. Your eyes, a poem. The eye makes a poem. Your eyes, a poem. And then the poem across it is this. Dili na ako, sama na to. Taliwala nimo og ako lima kahay ko. Daghan na kay ni. So for you to read other poems, you please uh, read this book, Minugbo. So another book of poetry. So we have here, so those are the poems by award-winning poet Adonis Dorado. So we have here, so the birthday of Ferdinand is March 15. So it's on March, according to Yui Villami, on March 50, 16, 50, 1521. So for Ferdinand Aperticio, he wants the book this is by Risil Mujares, Interrogations. So we have here the books by Dr. Risil Mujares. I don't know if this is signed. This has no signature, but maybe we have books signed by Dr. Risil Mujares. Wala ni ma sir, wala ni ma permahin. Nahurot na ang signed by Dr. Risil. So we would try to find a book um, a copy of Interrogations. This is Interrogations in the Philippine Cultural History by Dr. Risil Mujares. And these articles interrogate diverse issues in Philippine cultural history, the place of Nick Joaquin in the nation's historiography, the debate on the class possession of Andres Bonifacio and the revolutionary outbreak of 1896, Philippine-Spanish interactions in the world of print, the social history of religious devotions, the state of regional literary studies, and the case of the Filipino crime fiction, and the Philippine electoral politics as seen in the crack mirror of Pascual Racuyal's career. And the book ends with the author's recollections on the past 4 decades of Philippine cultural studies. So this is by Dr. Risil Mujares, our national artist for literature. So interrogations, and this is 580 pesos. We have still a few books here, a few copies. And then we also have from another book from Dr. Risil Mujares. This is a book with an introduction by Dr. Risil Mujares, the conqueror of Magellan, the conqueror of the Ferdinands. So this introduction of Dr. Risil Mujares in this book, Lapu-Lapu. It the pages are like 1/4 of this book because this is an introduction of a novel of Vicente Gullias about the folklore about Lapu-Lapu. And this is translated from Cebuano by Dr. Irlinda Alburo. And Dr. Risil Mujares, in the introduction of this book, explained, clarified some of, discussed the folklore surrounding Lapu-Lapu and the Battle of Mactan. And he also discussed the reason why the Mactananos, the Cebuanos, defeated the troops, the Spanish forces led by Ferdinand Magellan. So this is Lapu-Lapu, and this is 875 pesos. And we still have a few books, a few copies remaining. Another book by Dr. Risil Mujares is The Feast of the Santo Niño. This is a very interesting book. This mentions about this discusses the popular devotion to the Santo Niño in the single religious devotion of the greatest historical of the single it is the single religious devotion of the greatest historical significance in the Philippines. So this book discusses also the finding of the image, the founding of the Spanish Cebu, the early devotion, the, the politics of devotion, the indigenization of the Santo Niño, and the dance called Sinulog. So this also describes the ritual done by the Babaylanes in 1521 in Cebu and the forms of devotion. So this is the Feast of the Santo Niño, an introduction to the history of a Cebuano devotion. So Leon Kilat to be donated in our as SDO Tapat Library Hub. So daghang salamat for donating a book, the book Leon Kilat to your library. So another book by Dr. Risil Mujares is this book, um, The War Against the Americans. Sala wala na lagi dire. Nahurot da. Maybe we maybe it's already sold out yesterday. So we still have the book, The Maverick Senator Vicente Soto. So Vicente Soto is, of course, the ancestor of the Sotos, Vico Soto, and the other Sotos. Vicente Soto, the Maverick Senator, he is the father of modern Cebuano culture. And Dr. Isil Muarez, when we interviewed him about Teatro Honquera, because of course Palm Grass Cebu Heritage Hotel is located along Honquera Street, and Honquera Street has been known as a negative it has been has a negative connotation for a long time, but we have known that Honquera was actually the governor of Cebu who built the first theater with the people of Cebu. The community theater Teatro Honquera. He built it with the people of Cebu, the first physical theater in Cebu. And it is in Teatro Honquera that Don Vicente Soto also showed his plays. So he was the playwright and also the director of this plays. And according to Dr. Yusil Mujares, so Vicente Soto showed patriotic plays at the time when we were occupied by the Americans. So his plays, he was the first to to perform plays in Cebuano, because in the past the plays were in Spanish. So and then his plays were patronized by Cebuanos of all classes, from the workers and to the elite classes in Cebu. So this book by Dr. Isil Mujares and Vicente Soto, the Maverick Senator, is the first full-length biography of one of the most colorful Filipino politicians. The story of Vicente Soto, 1877 to 1950, encompasses a great deal of Philippine history. He was an active participant in the great debates and events of our history: the anti-Spanish Revolution, U.S. colonial rule, the independence campaign, Japanese occupation, and the post-war dilemmas of collaboration, hook insurgency, and the Philippine-American relations. So, if you want to know if you want to know the history of the great-great-grandfather of Vico Soto, so this is the book by Dr. Isil Muarez, Vicente Soto, and also the late um, lawyer, attorney Clarence Paul Waminal, also wrote a book about Don Vicente Soto, focusing on his legal battles, Nyor Inting and Ang Bisaya and his legal battles. So this is a book on the birth of a patriot, his political battles, his battle for press freedom, and Don Vicente Yap Soto's other legal battles. So This is the another book. So this is actually already signed by, we have copies signed by Dr. Risil Mujarez. So uh, historian Xiao Chua just sent me a message this at noontime, and he said that he wants a book, Vicente Soto, signed by Dr. Risil Mujarez. And yes, we will have this reserved for you, and we will also ask Dr. Risil to have a dedication for you. We will see Dr. Risil Mujarez on December 1 when he gives a talk in the first Cebu City Heritage Summit on December 1. So in the afternoon of December 1, Palm Grass Cebu Heritage Hotel would also be presenting an interactive presentation regarding the Palm Grass the Cebu Heritage Hotel experience. We are requested by the Cebu City government to present in the first Cebu City Heritage Summit regarding the experience of Palm Grass the Cebu Heritage Hotel. Thank you very much for that invitation, and that would be at 2:30 on December 1, and right after the presentation by Palm Grass will be the talk by Dr. Risil Mujarez in that Heritage Summit about Dakbayan, about the city of Cebu. So another book by Dr. Risil Mujarez is Brains of the Nation. So this is a very thick book, only 924 pesos. So this is grounded in a detailed analysis of the lives and works of Pedro Paterno, T.H. Pardo Tavera, and Isabelo de los Reyes. The book is a richly textured portrait of a generation that created the self-consciousness of the Filipino nation. It explores the historical conditions that shaped the emergence of a modern Philippine intelligentsia and the unfinished, strange, and wondrous itineraries diverse intellectuals took in engaging Western knowledge and dealing with the local realities of the country, from, of, and far, which they tried or pretended to speak. So, Brains of the Nation is a groundbreaking work in Philippine intellectual history. So, this is a book by Dr. Risil Mujarez. Brains of the Nation, the production of modern knowledge. So, so another book by another book with an article of Dr. Risil Mujarez is this book, Integración and Internación. And his article here in this book, Integración Internación, is Calle Colon and the Sites of Public Memory. So this is a book, The Urbanization of Cebu in the Archival Records of the Spanish Colonial Period. So so we would also be showing you the video that has the Integración Internación as a reference. Is it? Do we have the edited video? So, Wala pa? Wala pa? So, so later we would show it. And also, Dr. Risil Mujarez also has an article here in the war in Cebu. Mujarez, Taylor, Avila, Cola Maria, and Bersales. This is edited also by Dr. Jobers Bersales. And we would like you to know that on December 8th, in the afternoon, the time would still be finalized. We would be having conversations with Dr. Risil with Dr. Jobers Reynes Bersales regarding the war in Cebu against Japan. So Dr. Risil Mujarez's article here is in the chapter 3, which is the Japanese invasion. So, with beautiful pictures also. So this is, it would be, also the chapter 1 is also by Dr. Risil Mujarez, Prelude to War. And then the chapter 2 is by Valeriano Avila, Storm on the Horizon. And the chapter 3 is by Dr. Risil Mujarez. So chapter 4 is still by him, The Resistance. And also there is an article by Dr. Jobers Ilyasar Bursales, The Killing Field of Palalong, Mandawi's bemedaled veteran. So related, so Dr. Risil Muarez also has an article in chapter 6. The chapter 6 is still by him, Life Under the Japanese Rule. Dr. Jobers Reyes Bersales has this articles on the plight of the comfort women, an angel in hell. So we have these articles here about what happened in World War II in Cebu. So we would have conversations with Dr. Jobers Reyes Bersales this December 8th, because this is also a special request. So this book also has the map of Cebu, the map during the war. So, so this is not for sale. The map is not for sale. It is the property of the U.S. National Archives. So during the World War II. So this is the war in Cebu. This is 3,360 pesos. But this is a very beautiful book with beautiful pictures. So next, we would like to show you another book. So regarding the war against the Japanese in Cebu, we have another book here. Do we still have the Tabunan book? Nahurot na? So, but we can still have copies of that. Huh? So we have also the Tabunan book that discusses also that narrates how the Cebuanos fought against the Japanese, and according to accounts, the guerrillas in Cebu were one of the fiercest guerrilla forces against the Japanese. So we have also, we would like to show you this book. These books by our Suki historian, Dr. Michael Collinane. Dr. Michael Collinane also is the author of the book Arenas of Conspiracy and Rebellion in the late 19th century Philippines. Our reference, if you have if you have seen, if you have stayed at Palm Grass Cebu Heritage Hotel, most of the wallpaper contains the bio sketch of the hero to which that floor is named after. For example, at ikatulong andana, General Luis Flores, ikaupat nga andana, General Arcadio Maxilo, I mean, ikaunom nga andana is General Arcadio Maxilum, ikaupat nga andana is General Candido Padilla, ikalimang andana is named in honor of Padre Toribio Padilla. Dr. Mike Collinane did not make a bio sketch for Father Toribio Padilla. So, may you check our email? Maybe we have an email. Not yet. So, we have this. Dr. Malky Collinane is an American, but he stayed in Cebu since the 1970s and made in-depth research. And we would say, like, he knows Cebu more than us, because he knows about the families in Cebu. He knows about the different the history of the different towns in Cebu. And then he also wrote, he is also the author of this book, The Battle for Cebu. So uh, this is about the siege of Sudlon, how the Americans defeated the forces of General Arcadio Maxilum in Sudlon, and how the General Maxilum, um, um, how they retreated to the different mountainous areas, and they instead of fighting in a fixed possession against the Americans, they now engaged them in a guerrilla war. So they resorted to guerrilla tactics because they could not defeat the Americans in a conventional warfare like a possessional warfare in a fixed possession. So this is the battle for Cebu. Um, so by Dr. Michael Linane, and we have a newly launched book. So this is a book by also by Dr. Michael Colonnane. He finished this about 2 years or 3 years ago, and this was just launched. This is just launched this month, right? So this was launched this month. So this is the Chinese mestizos of Cebu City from 1750 to 1900. So this tells about this study reconstructs the lives and livelihoods of over 80 Chinese mestizo families during the final 150 years of Spanish colonial rule in this significant urban place. So, of course, the book by Junicio C., this book, A Short History of Cebu. A Short History of Cebu also discussed the Chinese mestizos. But I mean the Chinese and the Chinese mestizos in Cebu, in the different parts of Cebu Island. But this book by Michael Colonnane has a study on on a specific area and in Cebu City about 80 Chinese mestizo families. You would also know from Dr. Michael Colonnane how some Chinese also, of the Gremio de Chino, like Lucio Herrera, Oi Chihon, a pure Chinese, Gremio de Chino, but was married to a Cebuana who became the treasurer of war of the Manggugubot sa Cebu. So he became the treasurer of war of the 1898 Cebu Revolution. So he was arrested by the Spaniards, interrogated, but he was not killed. So he was a financier, and the revolutionaries, the Manggugubot, also met in his house. So the Chinese mestizos and the Chinese have also an important part in Cebu history. So this is the Chinese mestizos of bago pa lang yun. This is just fresh from the press. So launched just this month. So next, we would show you a few more books. Gamay na lang. 2 pages pa dahil ni mga 20 more books. But maybe we will not anymore show the others. So we would like to show you again, and we'll have a reading of some excerpts of the poem by the award-winning poet Vicente Butch Bandillo. So we have these books so we have many books by Vicente Butch Bandillo. So we have um, Earth, Alive, Moon Eternal, Damgo og Alimungaw, the Book of Departures. So the Book of Departures has English translations. We have Musimos mismo and Sanglitanan sa Kalipay ug Kasakit. So we would like to read to you an excerpt, one of the poems by Vicente Butch Bandillo in the Book of Departure. So I would like to read this because this has English translation. So mo gid ang una gid na akong nakita pag open ako sa book is this. Babay nga nagpungos sa iyang buhok. This is a favorite poem even by the young. I saw them having a poster about this in a festival on poetry. Babae nga nagpungos sa iyang buhok. Kadalikos sa lastiko sa labong mong buhok. Nag-anam kahuot ang akong kasing-kasing. As you tighten the rubber band around your thick hair, my heart constricts. Nga na ka powerful. That's how powerful a ponytail is. It makes a heart constrict. So another poem by Vicente Bandillo, Vicente Vivencio Bandillo. So one more poem that I would like to read to you. Damgo. Samtang nahinanok ako, luwan sa sakayan nga nagutaw-utaw sa lawod. Inanay nga mituhop sa akong mga mata ang nagkahanap nga mga bituon. Dream, while I slept on an open boat, adrift in the ocean, slowly into my eyes seep the fading stars. So we have a guest here, so we would like to know your name. Scott. So you're interested about our books here. So sa taga-asa wag ka? Taga Dirira. Did you go to the Cebu Literary Festival yesterday? Ah, wala. So you just want to look at our books. So what to kinsa nga authors imong gusto ganahan? Risil Muhares. Yes. And also Nick Joaquin. He wrote about Nick Joaquin. Do you have a Nick Joaquin book? Wala, no? So we have these books by Dr. Risil Muhares. So we have a guest here, Scott, who wants to look at the books by Dr. Risil Muhares. And we also have Dr. I wasn't able to mention, we have also a Risil Muhares reader. And this is edited uh, by Dr. Hope Sabanpanyu. It contains 12 articles on Cebu, selected from the writings of Cebu's foremost scholar, Risil Muhares. So this is Risil Muhares reader. And also, so Scott here wants to look at the books by Dr. Risil Muhares. So we would also like to show you the books by Dr. Elinda Alburo. Wala na ang Dictionary of Visayan Arts. Nahurot na ang Dictionary of Visayan Arts. So we only have one copy available for the Dictionary of Visayan Arts. So we also have this book by Dr. Erlinda. She was formerly the director of the Cebuano Study Center. So Sugilambong, the pre-war Cebuano novel. So this studies about the Cebuano novel in the American period. So this is so she has research on the pre-war period, which is known as the golden age of vernacular literature. So daghang salamat to Scott for availing some books by Cebuano authors. So Dr. Elinda's focus is on 18 novels that became popular within two phases of the period, propaganda and satire, historical and sociological fiction, and escape and entertainment, love stories, fantasy, detective fiction, and adventure. So this is Sugilambong, the pre-war Cebuano novel. So this is Sugilambong by Dr. Elinda Alburo, and this is another book edited also by Dr. Elinda Alburo and Dr. Hope Sabanpanyu. So both of them, Dr. Hope is the current director of the Cebuano Study Center, and Dr. Elinda was the former director of the Cebuano Study Center, and the founding director of the Cebuano Study Center is Dr. Risil Muhares. So all very kind of brilliant scholars. So the Brown Child is the best of the Faigao poetry and fiction from 1984 to 2012. So this is a book with about 100 poems, more than 300 pages, with the different also from also about more than 100 poets. So there is the first one, the first poem that I would I would see would be, I would read some excerpts of it. So this is, there is a poem by Rinaldo Catorza Limp in 1987. We cannot walk through their taste. We cannot walk through this taste with one foot, eating the other with our doubts as we skip over and play catch with our overdues that line our guilty sandcastles. Some other life stage should descend this milking callousness to the other in us and shed its pretensions in each our being. We cannot go on nurturing this limp and laugh our tears as we break apart and curse the omissions that make it hard to catch ourselves. There's no sense limping when we're zealous to run. So this is a book by Rinaldo Catorza. So one more poem from this book, The Brown Child. So this is I would choose a poem in English or in Bisaya. So, this is a poem by Arlene Jayo Obinieta. So Arlene is she is the wife of she is the wife of Michael Obinieta, an award-winning poet. We had her as a guest in our event last August regarding what was the title of our events? Love and gugma ulipon sa gugmang giatay, love and everything in between. So this is from Arlene. Kung buot mo akong abton, sagdi na lang ang mga bituon. Kung buot mong angkunon ang akong langit. Igo na nako ang kangit-ngit, basta dili ka magbasol-basol sa imong pag-uwang sa akong pagtakdol. Wala, nindot siya nga poem, but di na ako ma-translate. Leave me be. Pasag din, leave the stars if you want to reach me in the skies. The darkness is enough for me as long as you don't regret your howling in my moonrise. So, my rough translation of this beautiful poem by Arlene Jayo Obinieta, one of the poems in the poetry collection Brown Child, edited by Dr. Erlinda Alburo and also by Dr. Hope Sabanpanyu. And there is another book of poetry, a poetry collection by Dr. Erlinda Alburo and also another very talented poet, Esther Tapia. And this is their poetry collection is like a duet, duhawit, duha kaawit. So it's two songs, two poetry, two collections, two poetry collections. Mga balak ni Erlinda Quintanar Alburo, and the other side is by the poems of Esther Tapia, duhawit. So I would like to read one one poem, an excerpt of the poem by Esther Tapia. So I would like to read uh, this has just about 6 lines. Number 3. Mga awit. So there are 3 songs and I would read the third. 4 pa di ay. Daghan pa ni 4 songs. Murag panampalas. Ang imong kamot mihikap sa tubig. Ang tumoy sa imong tudlo mipukaw sa kabuntagon. Ang langit mubugwak o kahayag sa iyang mga kahoy. Ug ang mga pulak nga dahon sa ilang mga yuta nga misugat sa imong tunob. Ang lumoy nga gininhawa sa mga balili Tinaw kung madungog sa imong tingog. Blasphemous. The English translation, also by Esther Tapia. Your hand touches water. The tips of your fingers awakens the morning. The sky spreads its light upon the trees, and the withered leaves on the earth receive your footsteps. I can hear clearly the delicate breath of the grass in your voice. A very beautiful poem. So thank you very much to those watching us, to my teacher in college, Maya Tabada. Daghang salamat for joining. And so this is Duhawit by Esther Tapia, and another book of poetry by three women, uh, three women of power, powerful women. Sinugang. So Sinugang, this is also a trio, a Cebuano trio by Esther Tapia, Erlinda Alburo, and Corazon Almirino. So I would like to read a poem by Corazon Almirino. So we have a poems by Esther Tapia, by Erlinda Alburo, and we also have from Corazon Almirino, the youngest of the three. So I read a poem last in a few months ago. So maybe I would read that again, or I would read something else. So so this is so the first one that I would see na lang. So from Corazon Almirino. So this is by Corazon Almirino. So this is a fun poem by Corazon Almirino. Unsaon paggisa sa bana nga manghulga sa asawang dili kabahibalong muluto. Una, inita ang mantika sa kaha. Ikaduha, gisaha ang sibuyas, bombay ug ahos. Ikatulo, ilunod ang iyang kumo nga iya kunong isumbag sa imong naong. Ikaupat, isunod ang iyang mga tiil nga iyang ipatid nimo. Ikalima, isagol ug apil ang ubang bahin sa iyang lawas. Ikaunom, pabukali. Ikapito, tuslok-tuslok ka sa tinidor, mas maayo kung kutsilyo. Ikawalo, timplahi dayog pamalikas ug maldisyon. Ikasiyam, tilawi. Ikanapo, hauna. Napulo og usa, kana. Kung way lami, ilawg sa iro. Grabe ni, grabe ni si Cora ha, Corazon Almirino. So this is how to saute a husband who berates his wife who doesn't know how to cook. So heat oil in a frying pan. Saute onions and garlic. Immerse the fists that he would punch your face with. Do likewise with the feet that he would kick you with. So this is already number 5. Mix in the other parts of his body. Number 6, bring to a boil. Number 7, pierce with fork, batter with a knife. Number 8, season with curses and maledictions. Number 9, taste. Number 10, remove from fire. Number 11, eat. If no good, throw to the dogs. How to throw your husband to the dogs. Mao ni ang point ni Cora. Grabe ni si Cora. Very isog kaayo. So mine is Sigbin. Is it available? Do you mean the Sigbin, si Leon Kilat ug ang Sigbin, or do we have another Sigbin book? So we have the book si Leon Kilat ug ang Sigbin nga gisugilon sa mga sugbuanong bata. So this is a magical story by the children after they heard the story of the 1898 Cebu Revolution against Spain. So we have shown you the books by Dr. Ilinda Alburo, the Sinugang. So now we would show you these books on history by the National Historical Commission of the Philippines. So the National Historical Commission of the Philippines always makes it a point that the books they sell are very affordable. So we have this book. This is a very interesting book. So this is the book mentioned by Ferdy Aparticio, si Leon Kilat ug ang sigbin nga gisugilan sa mga Sugbuanong bata, a book with beautiful illustrations with the creativity of children in Cebu. After we told them the story, the real story of Leon Kilat and the 1898 Cebu Revolution, so they made their version, a magical story about Leon Kilat and the 1898 Cebu Revolution. And then this is also illustrated by she was 16-year-old, Christine Ansabaan illustrated this when she was yet 16-year-old. Now she's in college. She's already 19 years old. So, so these books by the published by the National Historical Commission of the Philippines. So these are the books. This is just um, this is just 350 pesos, Piga Fetas Picnic. And this mentions the food in the voyage of Magellan. What did the Spaniards taste in their travels in our archipelago 501 years ago? And it says here, it has a theory that the Battle of Mactan on April 27, 1521, when the expedition leader died, was a response to the threat of food insecurity confronting both combatants. Magellan demanded a food quota from the islanders or their village would be torched. So it was a battle regarding food. So because the foreigners wanted food, and then the Cebuanos, the Mactananons were scared that they would run out of food because of this demand from the foreigners. So the Battle of Mactan happened. So this is Pigafetas Philippine Picnic, 350 pesos. And there is also another book by the National Historical Commission of the Philippines, 1521 Revisited, the Quincentennial Commemorations in the Philippines. So this is a book with the first volume only. So with articles from Feliz Prudente Santa Maria, who is also the author of Pigapetas Philippine Picnic. Also, an article by Ian Christopher Alfonso, departing from Magellan, the rise of Manila, and also from Xiao Chua, Batik Tattooing in Early Philippine History, and also by The Indigenous Thrives in Us by Fernando Shalcita, and Dogs in the Life of Our Pre-Colonial Ancestors by Timothy Vitales. So this is 1521 Revisited. And there is also this book also published by um, the National Historical Commission of the Philippines, The Voyage of Ferdinand Magellan. At the other side, this is translated from the original Portuguese manuscript. So this is by Fernando Oliveira, The Voyage of Magellan. And also we have this book, The Philippines History, Geography, and Customs by Jean Malat. This is 840 pesos. And this is 450 pesos also. Now, so we would like to show you. So actually, can you there is a question at our for the front desk or to Chris na ay question regarding the readers of our video, the slaves. So the question, the ones who read the narration of the slaves. So please ipa-answer. So there is a message. So if you have seen if you watch our video on our event last Saturday regarding the Buno, the moral resistance against Spanish colonization. We have a video there, And the readers of those parts of the slaves. One is award-winning actor Dan 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 C. Lopez, and also our front desk, our talented front desk executive, Christine Lostri. So they read the parts of the slaves in that video. So so now we would like to di pa ni last, a few more books. So we have this book regarding our pre-colonial writing. So this is Surat Binisaya. So this is, if you want to know about the writings of the Visayans in pre-colonial times, you should read this book by Dr. Rolando Burinaga, also another Suki historian in our discussions on Visayan history. So you would see here at the cover a ritual pot, on this ritual pot is inscribed the writings. These were actually the writings, the rituals, the chants of the babaylanes, of the witches in pre-colonial Visayas. So they wrote their prayers on the ritual pots and the shards. So did we already answer the question sent to us in the messenger at Palm Grass Cebu Heritage Hotel? So the front desk, did they answer the question? So this is we have messages also that we're trying to answer. So this is deciphering the ancient Visayan writing. It's actually in the messenger account of Palm Grass the Cebu Heritage Hotel. There is a question that needs to be answered. Palm Grass the Cebu Heritage Hotel account. So this Surat Binisaya mentions the prayers in the ritual pot, inscribed in the ritual pot. So the babaylanes would pray with the pots. So you would also witness that our therapist at Palm Grass, the Cebu Heritage Hotel, at our Alima Native Massage, also has pots during the oration that they will do for you when you will have your massage. So now is it time for our question and answer for those online? So those online, so would you like to answer a question that we would like to ask you? So we would we have discussed a while ago some of the books. So as we continue discussing, there is one question that for those who would buy the book, you would get this. You would get a free Tablia truffle ball when you avail of a book and answer this question. So the question is this. We have no visual aid, but the question is this. What is the name? So did you already read the question from the messenger? Oh, so the question also for the audience is this. What is the name of the first theater in Cebu where Don Vicente Soto performed his patriotic plays? So it's very easy for the fans of Palm Grass. So So see, so the reader of our, for those asking a question at our messenger account, it's Dan C. Lopez. Dan Lopez. Is it Lopez? Dan Lopez is our reader for the slaves part in our video. He is an award-winning actor that read for us this account of a slave, his experience during the Moro raids. So also, so who wants to answer? So, thank you for the Apartisyo for saying mine to Surat Binisaya. So you will now going to have a very full your bookshelf. You are going to have more bookshelves for the books that you're buying from our Basahanan. And thank you very much for being so interested in our history and also donating a book to the library of STO Tapat. So the question is this, and to everyone who wants to answer, even our guest downstairs in Kapihan ni Lumaya, maybe you want to answer on on the Facebook page or on site. What is the name of the first theater in Cebu that showed the plays of Don Vicente Soto? Did someone answer? Wala pa ni answer. So because wala pa ni answer, so we would now read we would now show you more books. So there is another book also by Dr. Hope Sabanpanyu, Institutionalizing Motherhood in Cebuano Literature. So Ferdinand Ascaraga, so kuana ka Ferdinand, so you are the winner. You are the winner of chat. The answer is Chatro Hongkera. Congratulations, of course. Si si Ferdinand is the Battle of the Brains Grand Champion. Ferdinand Ascaraga, Battle of the Brains on Cebu history. So next is this is as I said, this is a book by Dr. Erlinda Alburo, I mean Dr. Hope Sabanpanyu, institutionalizing motherhood in uh, in Cebuano literature. So this work examines the socio-historical account of the institutionalization of motherhood from the pre-colonial up to the contemporary period in the Philippines. It explains the changing cultural and social values in the notions of motherhood. So this is in this book, which is just 400 pesos. So now we would like to show you this video. So to our video creator, our partner in our Heritage Awareness Program, thank you very much for the video that you sent us. Even if you have not, we are still working on the final video with the subtitles that you would show next week. So we would like to show you this video that has these books as references. So we showed this first during our event last week on the Moro raids. So this is Beyond the Walls, an overview of the Moro raids in the 18th to 19th century in our archipelago. So this is a video produced by Palm Grass Cebu Heritage Hotel and written and directed by Social Communications Asia's Prospero Lapot. Daghang salamat for this very well-researched and beautiful video. So this is the video.
In the middle of an overcrowded coastal community, located in one of the oldest and most densely populated centers in Cebu, Philippines, a peculiar structure towers over clusters of houses. Called by locals as Bantayan Sahari, this watchtower was originally built in the 1800s as part of the defenses against the onslaught of slave raiding in those times. Throughout Cebu and in many parts of Visayas and Luzon, similar defensive structures were constructed by local inhabitants, Catholic Church leaders, and the Spanish colonial government to counter seasonal raids by seaborne Iranon and Balangi raiders. Within the period of the 18th and 19th centuries, coastal villages north and south of Sulu were constantly attacked, significantly displacing the population. In some cases, defenders burned their own villages in desperate attempts to discourage the marauding raiders from landing. There are no records to find out how many people were enslaved during this period, but most of them ended up in what writers describe as the center of slave market at that time, the Sulu archipelago. home of the Tausug. Observers noted that at the height of Sulu's external trade and slave raiding, the population of its capital, Hulo, rose by an estimated 160,000 in the year 1814, at a span of only 40 years. Slaves outnumbered the native Tausugs. Many of these slaves were from the Visayas.
I don't remember the year I was captured because I was very young. I had been traveling with my parents in a small sailboat when we were seized by pirates from several Moropancos. My father had the good fortune to escape on an island the flotilla touched at, but we were taken to Tungkil.
The historical prominence of baluartes speak of the blood, toil, and heroism of villagers and church leaders defending themselves from the slave raiders. But building a defensive structure did not guarantee safety. In the Bicol region, one baluarte was overrun and looted many times over. The success of the raiders also resulted from the lack of arms and ammunition among the defenders. And even if the Manila government had heavy guns in stock, they neither wanted it traded or captured by the raiders, nor be used by insurgents, as discontent among the natives was also rising at that time. For many years, the Spanish Armada was no match to the efficiency of the sea crafts that the raiders used. With agile and maneuverable boats, the raiders would not engage the Spanish Navy and normally navigate through shallow channels. The Spanish attempts to improve the Navy were met by budgetary constraints, blunders in what ship to build, and human resource problems.
The prisoners were all kept tied until they showed no symptoms of attempting to escape. Water and rice were given to us very sparingly. Some died from hunger, some from being handcuffed, some from grief. They untied me after about a month. If prisoners were sick, so they could not pull the oar, they were thrown overboard.
The Iranians and Balangis, successful and confident in their trade, operated across Southeast Asia from the Sulu archipelago as the epicenter. Their lifetime experience made them masters of the features of islands and coves and such other navigational markers. The monsoon winds would carry them toward the Celebes Sea in the months of December to February, going across the Moluccas, Java, Bali, Timor, Borneo, and Sumatra. At the change of the season, they moved back to Sulu and began their Philippine raids with the southeast monsoon. By August, September, and October, they set their sails toward the Strait of Malacca. The Balangis were mainly of Sama and Bajau ethnicities and settled in the Balangi Islands east of Jolo. North of the Balangi is the island of Basilan, where many of the Iranians were based. The Iranians who lived in Jolo had their own separate ward from the Tausugs, as well as their own political organization that pledged to the Sulu Sultanate. As an ethnic group, their politics was not bound to a dominant tribe, but the slave market and the labor demand in Sulu attracted them to work with the Tausugs, who often sponsor their expeditions. External forces were at play in the rise of the Sulu Sultanate as the center of trade and slave market. The English found Sulu as a way to keep their supply of tea from China, which was interested in tripang or sea cucumbers, bird's nest, and such other products. The Tausugs get their fine silk, wares, some arms and munitions from China on one hand, and on the other hand, war material from the English, and later on, briefly, the Germans. Securing the supply of cannons and munitions in turn kept the Sultanate's political power intact, as well as its reputation as a trade center. The slaves brought in by the Iranians and Balangis made sure that the supply of the crucial Sulu products kept coming. Sea cucumbers or tripang had been used as a traditional cure to joint pains and other ailments by the Chinese. Even now, the value of tripang would go as high as 3,000 US dollars a kilogram. At the Archivo General de Indias in Seville, Spain, records show the extensive trading of tripang from Hulo to Manila between 1805 to 1830, the period when rampant slave raiding was happening at the same time in Visayas and Luzon. As a snapshot, two Spanish ships imported 100 tons of tripang to Manila in 1821 alone. These cargoes, usually labeled Canton goods, would be re-exported to Macau or Canton, the old name for Guangzhou province in China. But as Sulu enjoyed the benefits from the labors of the slaves, mostly from Visayas and Luzon, the surviving Filipino natives experienced dire economic hardships. Its fiscal impact could be seen in the petitions from local leaders, asking for defense assistance as well as for the military to mount an effective counteroffensive. It took the Spanish leadership decades to finally figure out how to effectively counter the onslaught of slave raiding. The modernization of the Spanish Armada, with the addition of the steam gunboats, would later on pave the way for the Spaniards to assert their dominance over the Sulu Sultanate. Inevitably, the Spaniards moved in by force to wrestle the center of trade from Sulu and transfer it to Manila, Cebu, Iloilo, and Zamboanga.
Daghang salamat for that video. So, a round of applause for that video. So we shot that baluarte before the pandemic in 2019. We shot that monument of Father Julian Bermejo in Oslo, in also in during the pandemic in November 2020, and those the well-researched video also have these books as a reference that we would show you. So this is the Sulu Zone. So it's largely based. The video is largely based on this book by James Francis Warren, the Sulu Zone. So this is 820 pesos, and this is available at Palm Grass Basahanan. Is this 1,200? Sa Update ko, it's 1,200. So so 1,200. And then so we also have this book by there is an article here by Dr. Jobers Reyes Bersales about the fortifications and the defenses of Cebu, the baluartes in Cebu, in Integration and Internation. And of course, so this is a 3,000 pesos, 3,360 pesos. And we have also, the video also mentions about the Father Julian Bermejo, and the book by Junicio C., uh, published by Palm Grass de Cebu Heritage Hotel, has a section that discusses in detail how Father Julian Bermejo, El Padre Capitan, led the Christianized natives of Cebu in building the baluartes to counter the Moro raids. So, and I would call him the Moro slayer, the Muslim slayer. And as I said, in this book by Junicio C., he never uses the term Moro for the Muslims. He uses the word Muslim, and then he also did not call them pirates but called them raiders. So this is one of the books that discusses that part of our history that Luis Derry says. He describes that period of the whole Spanish occupation, the Spanish colonial rule, as the Spanish Moro Wars. That's how he described that period. And stay tuned for our video next week that we would be having a premiere of this video again, complete already with subtitles. For those who wants also to read the subtitles of the narration of that video, daghang salamat to our very talented and hardworking video creator, Prospero Lapot, for that video. So of course, we would like to show you this book about the Battle of Mactan by Dr. Danny Hirona. So he is based in Bicol, but he studied the archives in Spain. And also, this discusses another look about the Battle of Mactan, and also about how Lapu-Lapu was described by one of those who saw him in the crew. So this is by Dr. Danny Hirona. And he also has other books here at Palm Grass Cebu Heritage Hotel. La Ciudad de Nueva Cáceres, The Rise of the 16th Century Spanish City. Pamplona, A Royal Highway to the Galleons. And also Rizal and the Bicolanos. And Albay, winding down the historic Abaca Trail. So these are very precious books, well-researched books by Dr. Danilo Hirona regarding also the history in Albay and Bicol, the Bicol region. So another book that he would show you from one of our Suki historian, Xiao Chua, um, Bayani biographies, and this is Andres Bonifacio. Uh, so this is a book that is very easy to read and with illustrations also. So this is 300 pesos, Bayani biographies, and focusing on Andres Bonifacio. So a few more books. So we have kuan na lang, 4 more books to show you. So other books have been sold yesterday. So there is this very interesting, fun and very beautiful book of poetry by another woman poet, Harla Kim Singh. She was formerly the president of Bathalad, an organization of poets that started in the 1950s. She was one of the presidents of this group of literary writers. Unsit poetry, I would like to read to you one of her poems. So this is one poem in this is in Cebuano, but she also has um, poems in English and Cebuano. So this poem is entitled Gugma sa Leap Year. Isa ka tuig, duwa ka bulan, tatlo ka semana, kag apat ka adlaw, sang ulihita nagkit-anay. Base balaga tinunto ka dira sa barko. Hoy, wala ko gaselos, wala ka lang kabalo. Perti ang antos ko nga hindi magsigitek sa imo. Kay pangga sa tuod lang magasto. Huo gani, roaming man ang imong mga telepono, huo gani, kada text ko kay tagpiso. Huo nahidlaw na gid ko sa imo, huo na gani, I love you. Pangga, puli na di, kay subong bala nga February, mas malawig ang mga gabi. I don't I don't speak Hiligaynon. I was so surprised that it's not actually Cebuano, but it's Hiligaynon. So the Cebuano is, so this is actually the Cebuano. So the one I read is in Hiligaynon. So the Cebuano is this. And I would try translating it into English. Gugma sa leap year. Usa ka tuig, duha ka buwan, tulo ka semana ug upat ka adlaw. Dihang katapusan tang nagkita. Basi baya gatinunto ka dihas barko. Hoy, di taon ni pangabubho, wa lang ka kahibalo. Labihan na kung anto sa sige og text nimo, Kay lagi pinangga bahala gasto, kay lagi roaming ang imong telepono, kay lagi kada text ko tag piso, kay lagi gihidlaw ko nimo, kay lagi oy I love you. Ga uli na bi kay ang tuig kaluksohon na. Pebrero na Pebrero na ra bagyod in town. Og ang kagabion labing luaga. Luag ang gabi kung so usa gira pag in English sa luag? the, the the night is empty without you. So mao na siya ang poem is actually the ay sa nataranta kay nagpanic na siya because of that poem. So so it's 1 year and 2 months and 3 weeks and 4 days. And when I last saw you, maybe you are making a fool of me in that boat. So, Chris, can you relate to this poem? This is for the seaman. The seaman dining. She loves a seaman. Hoy, I'm not jealous. You just don't know. I suffer so much texting you because love, even if it's expensive. Yes, your phone is roaming. Yes, every text is 1 peso. And yes, I miss you. And yes, I love you. Love. Oh, asa man na? Love. Love. Uli na bi. Please come home. The year wants already to leap. It's already February. And the nights are so empty. A book by Carla Kimsing. A book of poetry by Carla Kimsing. Ga, uli na bi. Asa ko nakadungog uli na. Uli na bi. Asa na? Asa na? Nana ka kanta? Ha? Oo, kanta din ang uli. Uli na. Dili, uli. Ali na diri. Ali na diri di ay. So, there's a TikTok video. Popular TikTok. So, this is a book by a book of poetry by Tonda Pusala. He was also our guest panelist, guest poet in our Ulipon sa Gugmang Giatay. So this is the book of poetry, Basa. Basa is a Cebuano word for wet, and basa is to read. So basa. I always say that when you read it, you get wet. So maulanan ka if you read this book. So I would like to read one excerpt of this one poem. So the one poem is Basa. Basa. Misubay ko sa imong mga pulong gahunghong sa dunggan. Matagtitik akong gisusi sama sa hapuhap sa panit sa wala pamupakli. Milantugay ko sa pahina sa imong paghunauna hangtod sa mibabad sa imong kalibutan hinuon dunay mga bahin nga nakapakunot sa akong agtang. So mo ni siya, basa. So I would like I cannot immediately translate that. So kini na lang the very short line, the very short poem that I would like to translate into English. So this is gipatay na tong gabi sukad atong gipahilom kadtong gabiuna gaghunghong gihapon ang imong tingog. One stanza lang ni. Ever since we silenced that night, your voice still whispers. So listen kayo pag-translate. So this is basa. You get wet when you read this. Ya mabasa ka kung mabasa ka ani. This is just 385 pesos. By Ton Daposala, one of our poets in our event, Ulipon sa Gugmang Giatay. So, and the last but not the least, mao na to? Oh, na dito, the last, na to, katong pre-colonial. So, the last but not the least. So, right now, I would like to inform you, so you would know that I am wearing a clothing made for me by a Higaunon woman. And then she, although this is not the traditional design, because the traditional design has three-fourth sleeves, um, this has the traditional colors of the Higaunon. So we went to Bukidnon to learn about the way of life, the culture of the Higaunon, because according to our historians, if we want to know the pre-colonial way of life of the people in our archipelago, we just have to look at the culture right now of the indigenous peoples. So of course we also so this we have in our gift shop, Sinugatan Gifts from Cebu. We will have this displayed, the necklace made by the Higaunon women with the traditional colors of red, white, black, and yellow. So the red is symbolizes bravery of the warriors. The white symbolizes the purity of their goals and aspirations as a people. And the yellow represents the tribe or the indigenous cultural community as being children of the sun. So the yellow represents the eye of the sun. So there is yellow here. And of course, there is also black because the black represents the dark spirits. So during offerings and rituals for blessings and everything else, there needs also to be an offering to the dark spirits. So there is always black so that to appease the dark spirits. So there is always black. So when the when you offer chickens, for example, there is a chicken with white feather, red feather, and a chicken with black feather. So the blood of the black chicken would be offered to them, to the dark spirits, so they wouldn't be angry. So to know more also about the pre-colonial life of our ancestors, we also have this book by William Henry Scott, Pre-Hispanic Source Materials for the Study of Philippine History. This is 595 pesos. And there is also a book, Reflections on the Philippine Culture and Society, in honor of William Henry Scott. And this is edited by Jesus Peralta. So, daghang salamat everyone. We only have one question. So, thank you very much to our online audience. Daghang salamat for joining us and for your attention in these books. Ay, we all have the last but not the least book. There's still one book. This is a coffee table book by uh, Luila Alex, also uh, a, a heritage advocate, and this is the culinary heritage of Cebu Hikay. So this is 3,800 pesos. So daghang salamat for join us in our event on in our presentation as we show it live to you on December 1 at 2 p.m. Regarding the heritage, the Palm Grass, the Cebu Heritage experience that we will present during the Cebu City First Heritage Summit. And also, we would also try to show you the presentation, the lecture of Dr. Risil Muhares that would happen right after the presentation of Pamgas, the Cebu Heritage Hotel. So Dr. Risil Muhares is about Dakbayan, or the city of Cebu. And also, on December 3, we will have our outreach event with our friends from an insurance company that would share meals with the children with disabilities at the Center of the Missionaries of the Poor. And we will also have a storytelling. So this would be performed by Palm Grass Cebu Heritage Hotel staff and interns about the story of Leon Kilat and our heroes, that we would show, that we would perform for the children to give them an inspiration about how our heroes change their lives and the lives of the Cebuanos because of their values. And also on December 8th, we will have a conversation. We will have conversations with historian Dr. Jobers Reyes Bersales about the war in Cebu against the Japanese. And also on December 29, we will celebrate Pasko sa Gagawasan, our victory, the victory of the Cebuanos against the Spaniards in the 1898 revolution against Spain. And stay tuned also, we will also be having a live event to show you a Belen sa Kabilin, a Belen, which was that was already installed in the 1940s. So it's nearly the pieces of that Belen are about already nearly 100-year old. So please stay tuned as we will show you our our Belen sa Kabilin next week. Is it next week? Yes. So Bilin sa Kabilin is from the family of the Sanyels, no? By Nanay, Lola, by the Heberola family of Argao. So daghang salamat ug maayong hapon sa tanan, and we continue celebrating the National Book Week by reading books. These very important books. Daghang salamat ug maayong hapon.